Okay, it's Henry again, and this is my work in progress video for the 1 to 100 scale Magic Toys Gundam Hazel custom. And I've got it all snapped up, and it's quite a bit chunkier than the official P-Bandai version. Still a pretty good looking model kit. I actually got this before the P-Bandai was even announced. And actually a decent looking kit. The only part that I'm not really crazy about are the hands. These hands leave a lot to be desired. I mean, they got like the master grade posability, they're just not made very well. The rest of the kit is actually relatively okay. There's a few parts that fall off here and there, but that's nothing a little bit of glue can't fix. And the proportions are halfway decent. Like I said, it's got a chunkier, bulkier look than the master grade, but even then the master grade is still kind of a bulky mobile suit, but this one just is a little bit more so. A lot of nice panel lines and details, really sharply molded, really good molding quality on this kit. Got great color separation, not going to have to do much masking, if any at all. Maybe like on the bottom of the feet here, because you know, like this part's gray and then this part's just the dark blue color. But anyway, got clear green parts for basically everything that needs to be clear green, except for right here. You have to do something with that little leg camera. It does come with water slide decals, so we got water slides and foil stickers, which I'm not going to be using. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the darker Titans colors, the dark blue and the purplish and the black kind of thing with the yellow stripe going through the shoulders and the chest and all that. That's the color scheme I'm going to do. And shouldn't be too bad, relatively straightforward. The only thing that kind of worries me is these decals were specifically made for this color scheme, meaning there's a lot of red and black decals on here. Caution markings I'm not really worried about. I've got plenty of white caution markings I can use, but they don't give us a whole lot of white for the other, like the logos and stuff. Like we got the TR on the shield, that works. They give us 3 of these Titans Test Team logos in white. We got some Anaheim Electronics in white. But like a lot of these logos with the rabbits on them, like the rabbit's white, but the rest of the like the text and stuff is black. And we got this big gold rabbit thing down here is like the yellow and the gold should show up, but the black is not going to show up very well if I do the darker Titans color scheme. So I'm thinking I may have to go online and find some third-party Hazel decals that are meant for the Titans color scheme that are going to be printed in white. So I'll go on and look up some of those while I am painting this guy. Okay, you may have seen me doing some masking in the airbrushing portion of the video, and that's because I'm doing the I don't know, the Titans colors, whatever, the darker bluish purplish colored hazel. So and I wanted to do the version that had like the little yellow stripes and the two different shades of color going through it. So doing that, I added the stripes, let's see, with some thin masking tape, micron masking tape made by Aizu. Got this off Hobby Link Japan. Really thin, and basically just painted everything yellow first, put the masking tape on there, and then I painted the light purple and then the dark purple. And now I'm in the process of pulling all this masking tape off. And I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out so far. There's a few little places where I'm going to have to do some touch-up work, but then again, that's usually the case when I do masking, so that's not too awfully surprising. Anyway, a lot of times you'll see like Titans color schemes and even like the high-grade Hazel kits are done in more of a bluish tone, but I really like the illustrations from the Advance of Zeta, and they always have this kind of purplish tint to everything. So that's what I'm doing for my color scheme. I'm leaning more towards purple rather than blue for this guy, and I think it's turning out really, really nice. So that's the other gun. And a few of these details, like those little things, have to be painted red and black. That rectangle will be painted yellow, so I'll go back and mask and do those later, but for right now this is looking really, really nice. So pretty darn pleased with the colors so far. Moving on to the panel lines, and I had a little bit of trouble actually doing the panel lines on this kit. Not necessarily the kit, but I guess the paint job anyway. It's almost like the paint came out a little bit rough, like rougher than it usually does. I mean, I use the same mister color that I use for literally everything I paint, but the texture of the paint is just a little bit rougher than usual, and it's been hard to clean up the panel lines. So I've had to basically just take one of these old Tamiya cotton buds and dip it in a little bit of paint thinner to help clean up those panel lines, and that seems to be working pretty well. I guess I could have done a gloss top coat before panel lining, and I think that's what most people do, but usually I'm too lazy for that. Because most of the time, I mean, just about all the paints I use are either gloss or semi-gloss, and most of the time I don't really need to do a gloss coat because the paint is generally smooth enough that I can panel line directly on top of the paint without having to worry about that. But not this time. I'm going to take a little bit extra effort, but still nothing too awfully bad. It's not like I ruined the parts or anything. Here's some of the parts I already finished panel lining, so with a little bit of cleanup with paint thinner, they turned out pretty well. So before I get started with decals, I figured anyone that was interested, I'd show off the inner frame. This is what the inner frame of the Hazel looks like. As you can see, it's very, very blocky, very chunky. Doesn't really look like a Bandai Master Grade inner frame, or if it does, it resembles a Master Grade from like the early 2000s, one of the earlier Master Grades. So it's got a full inner frame except for the shoulder block there, and like the neck joint is actually molded into the outer armor collar part. And overall, I mean, it's got some really nice surface detail on it, a lot of cool mechanical details, even if it is shaped a little bit funny. So there it is. And I went with kind of a purple tint theme for the entire kit. So for the painting the inner frame, I just used the regular gunmetal that I always use, but then I sprayed a single thin layer of clear purple on top of the gunmetal and just gave it sort of a purple tint. Don't know how well it's showing off on camera. I think you can see it a little bit, and that's kind of what I wanted to go for. I didn't want it to be just like metallic purple. I just wanted to have that slight hint of purple to the inner frame, and I think that worked out really, really well. I'm very happy with how the colors are turning out on this guy. Okay, so get the decals on here. And I didn't end up buying any new decals. I'm just using the ones that came with the kit, and I think they're turning out pretty sufficient, so I'm not too awfully worried about it. So I've got most of the caution markings done, and now I'm in the middle of doing... Ooh, that was a little bit too much mark setter. Now I'm in the middle of doing like the emblems and stuff on the shoulders. So, got this one. Pull that off. Stick it right there. Make sure it's actually straight. Okay. And the decals on this kit are actually really, really good looking. They're nice and sharply printed. They're all pre-cut. They seem to be plenty durable enough. So, I'm not really having any issues at all. They're a little bit thinner than Bandai decals. Not quite as thin as Samuel decals though, so kind of in between. But as you can see, they are turning out pretty nicely. Add one here. Actually, no, you know what? I'll do this one on the back skirt. I think this is the Black Otter Team decal. I don't know a ton about Advance of Zeta as far as the story goes. Come on. Ooh. Alright, let's just fix that decal real quick. Okay, that's better. Reposition that. Okay. So yeah, this is literally the last step before top coating, so I'm going to finish up the last few of these emblems, and then I'll be ready to top coat this thing. Okay, after final assembly, the Magic Toys Hazel is finally complete. I am thrilled with how this paint job turned out. All of these shades of purple just turned out really, really beautifully. So I'm very satisfied with this guy. He's kind of wobbly. Something about his ankles and his feet. Just, okay, there we go. I think I got it. But, really good looking kit. In terms of Magic Toys sculpt and details and stuff. So, decals all turned out good. Just everything went really, really smooth on this build. And for the few places that they didn't give us clear parts for the cameras and stuff, like they originally just included stickers for these green parts on the legs, and then a sticker for the camera on the chest. What I did was I actually just took some of this excess plastic off the runner for the clear parts, and just cut that to size and then glued that in place on the legs and then there on the chest. So and be more consistent that way. So you'd have all clear green parts instead of some clear, some stickers. It just bothers me when you have a combination of clear parts and stickers. So that was definitely a good solution, I think. I'm going to zoom in on this. So I didn't have the batteries for the LED unit, so I don't have the LED unit inside the head. But the what it does, it would light up the eyes and this little mohawk camera thing. So very, very pleased with how this turned out. Purples all look really good. The shading came out well also. Had to do a little bit of touch up on the yellow pinstripes because, you know, I'm not great at masking, so there was a few little places of masking bleed that had to touch up by hand, but that was really no problem. And then I did some hand painting in a few places, like these little red bars. There's one on the chest there, on the knee, on the side of the leg. Did some of those by hand. Whoops, see, there's that foot thing again. These little red and black details on the side of the gun, did those by hand as well. So overall, if you can find a Magic Toys Hazel, I recommend it because it's a pretty solid kit for a Chinese third-party kit. Definitely, probably the best one I've built. But if you want to get the P Bandai, I'm sure the P Bandai is also great. It uses the Mark II 2.0's inner frame, which is a great inner frame. So either way, P Bandai or Magic Toys, I think you're going to have a really, really good looking Gundam Hazel. So that about does it for this work in progress video, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.